My name's Curtis Johnson. I had an idea to present at a conference about unit testing, and I got rejected. So if I couldn't present this at a conference, why not produce the content ourselves and post it to our blog? So I want to share with you the things I've found with unit testing. To start, I really got interested into unit testing when I wasn't very confident about the code I was producing, and especially when rollout day came. I also didn't want to have any hot fixes whatsoever, and I'd always heard about people being woken up at 2 a.m. to fix some horrendous crazy bug. I never wanted to deal with that, so I really wanted to learn more about unit testing. And so that's when I started reading about unit tests, how they could be done, how people were doing their unit tests in their systems. And I realized that you couldn't just slap unit tests around the code that you already had. It really caused you to think about how your system was being architected and designed for unit testing, because you have to design your architecture to treat unit testing as a first-class citizen. And to do that, you have to have separation of concerns, you have to have services or more componentized systems, and that just doesn't come for free. So you actually have to put a little bit of work into that before you ever have unit testing. But doing all of this will enable you to pull apart these components and individually test them. So when you plug them all together in production, you should know that they're going to work. Okay, so I've got these mega blocks here, and I really want to just give an easy example of a mammoth or monolith system versus using a system that's more componentized and in the end more testable. So that method I just showed you is this system. It contains database access, it contains email access, and I have really no way of testing it. But what if we start to think about pulling away our volatilities and encapsulating them behind the scenes? So I just want to test my business logic on whether I should send a user a notification or not. I don't really care about the database behind the scenes. It could be a file, it could be NoSQL at any point, and maybe I want to change my email provider. So we have a hosted email, and then maybe I want to choose Amazon email or Azure email. So I really want these components that can be almost plug and playable in my system. So let's think about this mammoth piece here, and let's separate it. And let's take some smaller components, maybe our database, and let's plug that in. And then maybe our email service. Let's plug that in. So now I have the same system, but it's more componentized, so I can pull and plug any one of these pieces in a production or even a test environment. So how would I test this during a unit test using my components? Well, let's say I have a user repository that controls all the access to my database, maybe selecting users, creating users, whatever. And I have this production implementation here. But maybe for my unit tests, I don't want to have a fully implemented database, and so I just want to more or less mock what the database would return. So I can pull out this component here, nothing changes with my business logic, and I can plug in or mock out a new database piece. And I can do the same with the email. So I don't care about actually sending the email to the person, making sure it goes through all the servers in the world to get to their inbox. I just want to make sure from this piece of logic that I have called my email system. So I can mock out that here. So that's how I can keep my business logic the same up here, but I can plug and play my components behind the scenes and not need a fully implemented database or email system to achieve my ultimate success and know that my code is working correctly. All right, so now I have a few points that I've learned through my time writing unit tests. The first one is consumption. Writing tests around your methods really helps you think about how you're going to consume that method and how others are going to consume that method. Because the most important thing is, if it's trouble for you to consume the method that you're writing, how are other people going to consume it? They're probably not going to understand. And the second one comes with estimation around unit tests. You should never separate the time required to write your feature and write your unit tests, because a manager will never give you time to write the unit tests. So you should always package the time required for a feature and the unit tests all in one piece. So never say it's going to take me a half a week to write this feature and a half a week to write the unit tests, because the manager is always going to say just skip the tests. Just tell them it's going to take me around a week to fully implement this feature, and they won't even know, and you will be writing testable code that you're confident with when you release. So like I mentioned, we will have all of this hosted in a GitHub repository. We'll provide a link in our post. But if you have any questions, feel free to just contact me. I'd love to talk more about unit testing and answer any questions.